Greetings to all. I am Mirai no Hagaki, an artist and music producer known for my work in the ambient genre. Today, I extend my appreciation to my brother, TL30, for extending an invitation to participate in one of his enlightening video breakdown sessions. TL30 and I embarked on a collaborative journey resulting in the creation of an exceptional album titled Lunar Illusions. I intend to elucidate the intricate process involved in the mixing of one of the album's tracks, Celestial Whispers. Firstly, let's listen to a segment of the song with all inserts and effects disabled. Fantastic song, isn't it? Let's begin the analysis of the mix, starting from the master bus, which should always be active in every phase of the mix. In my master chain, I have saturate engaged to add a touch of saturation and harmonic distortion, a subtle intervention in stereo mode. Following in the chain is an EQ, the AMEC EQ 200, also in stereo mode. I use this to attenuate around 160 Hz by just over a dB to enhance the separation between the subpart and the mid-bass frequencies. In this case, I'm also applying a slight cut around 300 Hz because I know there are many pads in the song, which often have a boost in that frequency range. Finally, I add a very slight attenuation on the high frequencies using the shelf mode. After the EQ, I employ a multi-band compressor with only one band active below 150 Hz to better manage the low frequencies. And lastly, a compressor, the fantastic and transparent SPL iron. I never attenuate more than 1 or 2 dB, and for ambient music, I use the tape roll-off function, which simulates a gentle attenuation on the low and high end parts of the signal. But let's delve into the mix details. Here's the first track. I'm not a big fan of Soothe 2, and generally of plugins that do a lot on their own and intervene massively. But here, I really needed to keep certain mid-frequencies under control. I always prefer making small consecutive adjustments rather than using a single effect invasively. So, after Soothe 2, I used a plugin EQ Frequency, a stock plugin in Nuendo, my DAW. I use this EQ in mid-side mode, attenuating only the mid part of the signal to enhance stereo width and smoothness of the sound. And with a high-pass filter, the chosen frequency depends on the specific track. As a final touch, I used a convolution reverb with the wet signal at 100%. This way, I achieved the smoothness I was aiming for. You can listen to the track before and after the plugins used. Let's move on to the second track. This is another pad with very resonant mid-bass frequencies. So once again, I used Soothe 2. followed by the usual EQ in mid-side mode, with an attenuation on the mid-frequencies and an high-pass filter. On this ethereal pad track, I employed a simple high-pass filter and a dynamic equalizer on the mid-frequencies, with a very subtle attenuation. The next track is a pad, but with a sound very similar to that of a sound effect. My priority was to make the sound less aggressive and monolithic, so it was important to add movement within the stereo panorama. To achieve this, I used another stock plugin from Nuendo FX Modulator, a powerful modular multi-effect. Afterward, I added a simple dual delay to further enhance the three-dimensionality of the sound. The next track is also an SFX, so I followed the previous method. With FX Modulator, I added automation on the panning, different from the previous one. And then I added a dual delay and a high-pass filter. If we listen to these two tracks together, before and after these plugins, we can appreciate how they have come to life. Now we have this magical and ethereal piano already heavily reverberated. I wanted to soften it as much as possible. As I always do, I made small, light, consecutive adjustments. The first one with a dynamic EQ, also using a high-pass filter. Followed by Soothe 2, and then a simple stock compressor in Nuendo. These cascading interventions aim to not distort the original sound while still achieving the desired softening effect. Now we have a very important track, this cello, played with a particular technique. I wanted this instrument to sound dispersed in space. So, I used Tai Chi, a reverb that I adore, full wet signal, very long reverb time, and an additional multiplication of the reverb time for mid and high frequencies to better separate the reverb sound from the original sound of the cello. For this section of strings, with a very high-pitched sound, I used FX Modulator to move the instrument's panning, and another instance of Tai Chi to soften the sound slightly. This track had a very aggressive and piercing sound. Softening it was not easy. Firstly, I used Soothe 2, which is very effective in such cases, with a rather aggressive intervention this time. Then, I created automation on the panning, as this automatically makes the sound much less violent and disturbing. Afterward, I tried to further soften it with the splendid plugin Spaced Out, which utilizes a combination of reverbs, delays, and modulations. On this vocal track, I used a high-pass filter and a slight attenuation on the mid-bass frequencies, followed by the beautiful Tai Chi. And as a final step, I added a light chorus with automation. Finally, we can listen to this beautiful song and hear the difference when all the plugins used are activated or deactivated. I am Mirai no Hagaki, and I thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and listen to the album Lunar Illusions, releasing on March 8th, which I created together with my great friend TL30. See you soon.